council chambers here at 100 South Monroe Street, Eagle Pass, Maverick County, Texas. As always, we start with the establishment of a quorum. We do have a quorum today with Mayor Pro Tem Davis, Councilwoman Cruz, Councilman Garcia, and myself, Mayor Salinas. Moving on to a moment of reverence. We always like to pay respects to our military, people that are serving abroad and here, so if we could please have a moment of silence in their honor. Thank you very much. We also have Councilman Diaz present here today. We will go ahead and move on to citizens' communications and recognitions. We do have a citizen communication, Mr. Ruben Camarillo, and then we'll read yours after. Mr. Camarillo, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. Mayor City Council, thanks for having me. Sorry I was a little late. I just came in from Laredo, but I came on to bring up just a couple of things. But before I start, though, if you notice, I am wearing two different kinds of uniforms. One is the hat from my American Legion Veteran Association, and on behalf of them and on behalf of the good folks at VFW, I just want to say thank you guys so much for the donation of the flags for the Memorial Day ceremonies. We are so appreciative of that, and I know the Memorial Day ceremony went super well, so thank you guys so much. Could we give them a round of applause? Wow, there's a lot of people here today, so I'm not going to take up too much of your time. I did, however, mention, and thank you, Mr. Moore, for touching base on me with the speed bumps. I know that I am requesting some speed bumps in the area of our neighborhood. I know I've mentioned this before a couple of times of safety precautions. I'm not going to complain about that today, but I do want to thank you guys for keeping in touch with me. That I know that we have ordinances in place, and I know it's a process, but however I can help to try to get that process started, I'm here. I'll reach out to you guys as much as possible. I'm going to do my part, and thank you guys. I just thought maybe it was a great idea to have everybody here to, get you guys' ears going on that. So thank you guys for keeping in touch with me, and I'm here. You guys have my number on that, I believe, on that little paper there. Thank you guys for seeing me, and I'll keep in touch. And guys, have a prosperous meeting. It's good to see all of you guys here again.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Mr.
guys.
Camarillo.
All right.
We appreciate you. Miss Imelda,
Yes.
we do have a,
Yes, Mayor, just for the record, we do have one that was submitted in writing. It was on behalf of Mr. Michael Gadea, and this is in regards to Stewart Transportation. I did provide you all copies because it is a lengthy material for you all to read when you have time.
Okay.
That is all.
thank you.
Thank you.
And next, we have a very, very special group here joining us at the City Council meeting today. We have our Liberty Eagles, who are the 2023 City Cheer Champions. Let's give them a big hand. Actually, I'd like to invite council, you can join me up here, please. We can address it and we take a picture. Okay. Can we do that? Okay. Yes. 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 Or you want to even it out?
I'm just used to standing at the start of it.
Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Romero.
Thank you. Dean, come on up.
Yes, let's put the
That's good.
trophy here.
That's good. Maybe the 56. Just make sure you can see straight so that no one's in front of you. You're gonna get it wrong? You can sit up here. Or just shoot it.
And then maybe meeting. O Carlos, que ellas también se hinquen y luego se queden paraditas. O sea, sentaditas, hincaditas y paradas. ¿No se ve bien? Ah, no se ve. Por eso les digo que si ellas se hincan, ¿verdad? Por eso les digo, esta idea que se hinquen y luego ya de 3 niveles.
There you go.
Before we take a picture, if I can address them, I just want to say that we're so very proud of y'all. And as a community, y'all are representing us in such a great manner, so we want to congratulate you all. Not only you, but I know it's a lot of hard work, and you have the support of your parents, your family, your friends. So make sure you keep trying your best, and we're always going to be here to support you, okay? Keep doing good, and keep doing good in school, and listen to your teachers, right?
And thank you for the parents because I know it's hard. The makeup, the hair, and the tricks.
And all the practices. I mean, there's a lot. It's a huge commitment.
Yes, you can get in the back way when council when they.
Right here, so you can.
¿Se ven?
Salimos acá también. We're good? Cheese. All right. Before we leave, we do have some very special comments from one of your instructors.
Head cheer captain,
Miss Angel,
Angel Ruiz.
Angel Ruiz.
Yes. You can come to the.
From here?
She can. Yeah. You want to get right here? Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
My name is Angel Ruiz, and I am the cheer captain of this team. We would like to thank the City of Eagle Pass for this recognition. It means so much to all of us. This year was dedicated to the Uvalde 21, especially to those that shared in the love of cheer. We dedicated this year to them and honored them with using the maroon color to remind everyone that their memory lives on. Thank you.
Can you take more pictures? Yeah.
Yeah, we're okay.
Yes, sir. Okay, good. Yeah. And just to real quick, on behalf of the Parks and Recreation Department, I know we have Mr. George Sanchez here. We want to thank all the parents that are here with us. We want to congratulate the Liberty Eagles. As you all know, during the pandemic, we stopped having the cheer and dance competitions. So we were able to, get started. So it's a work in progress, and hopefully the next, following years, we'll be able to get back to where we're at one point. We want to thank the Parks and Recreation staff, for being there. That weekend they were working. If y'all recall, we were expecting the bad storms, and they worked all weekend long. They went to the gym to get it set up. We want to thank the Eagle Pass Independent School District for allowing us to use the activity center. And so again, congratulations to the Liberty Eagles. They did a great job, and all of them are winners. Everybody that participates, we know they're all winners. So stay tuned for the following year. Hopefully it'll be bigger and better. And again, thank you to the Eagle Pass Independent School District for partnering with us and allowing us to have the event there. Thank you very much. You want to get in there with her?
Yes.
It's your turn. It's your turn. Right or no? Ay, yo ya me bajé. How does let you say?
Let me just read. Okay, at this time, we'll go ahead and move to item number 1. Another very, very special item where we get to say thanks for all the hard work of our city secretary and your wonderful staff. I know that I don't speak just for myself, that we have a great city secretaries team. I want to thank you all for all the hard work. You're always there when we need you. So we will be presenting the city secretary's office for a Municipal Clerk's Office Achievement and of Excellence Award. Mr. Morua, I know Mr.
Yes, sir. Mayor, if I may, I do want to recognize Ms. Imelda and the whole team, Ms. Ita and Ms. Sidney for this. It's also very important to point out that we were one of the 24 cities that received this award, of actually 595 cities in the state of Texas. So that's something that we're very proud of it, of the department that we have. And mainly what this consists is that we're in compliance and we have a good team that is make sure that all the elections run smoothly, Open Meetings Act, Public Information Acts, awards. So there's 12 different criteria that they look into it, and we have to submit documentation that we're in compliance with all of those 12 items. So it's not an easy process, it's not an easy selection. So we're very proud of what Ms. Imelda and the team have achieved. So we wanted to bring this in front of council and present it because it's a state award. So thank you again for everything that you all do.
Thank you so much. Definitely very, very well deserved. We see the hard work every day. Sidney, Ita, Imelda, I mean, we couldn't ask for a better team. So thank you so much. Can we?
Our admiration and love.
Chasing me down.
Thank you very much.
Your pictures are good too.
I'll just be very quick. I want to thank Mayor and Council, and of course, I say administration, but it's actually Mr. Ivan. I call him Joven Ivan. I thank him for supporting me in all the endeavors related to work. He's never said no. He's always go for it. Try it. The minute I told him, Ivan, I want to apply for this award, he said, go for it. So I'm truly blessed that I'm at a job that I love. So thank you. Thank you to all our City of Eagle Pass team, all the directors. Thank you for all your support. Mainly, también, I want to thank my husband and my boys that are here. Thank you for all their support, which is a lot of hours here dedicated to the city, but I love it. I wouldn't change anything. And one person I can't forget is a mi madre. Gracias, mami, por todo. Es todo. Thank you so much.
Anthony?
Ita's family's here. Tell your family.
Pásela, sí, sí, por favor.
Family.
You guys are tall.
These are the small
¿Cómo
ones.
estamos?
Come on, come on. Ven, come on, babies. Come on. Come on. Ponme que se ven aquí.
We're all friends here.
Anyone that we're missing, no? More family?
Salimos todos. You good? Yep.
Do you want one to go with your family? Memory?
Of course.
It's hard to get together.
It's your moment.
Very well.
We're gonna be the beach.
Very well deserved recognition.
Thank you so much.
We'll go ahead and get to item number 2, public hearing on the proposed final replat of Lot 21 in Block 2 of Loma Bonita Heights, Subdivision 1, including 1, a subdivision variance from the preliminary plat requirement of City of Eagle Pass Code of Ordinances, Chapter 23, Section 23-36A, and 2, a sidewalk waiver including curb and gutter from Section 23-64 governing sidewalks. Closing of public hearing and possible action. We will go ahead and open this public hearing at 5:51 PM. Ms. Maribel, how are you, ma'am? Good evening.
So what you have before you is a public hearing, a replat for Lot 21 in Block 2 of Loma Bonita Heights Subdivision Unit 1, including a subdivision variance from the preliminary plat requirement and including a sidewalk waiver, including curb and gutter variances. As you can see, here's an aerial map of the subject property. It's out in the county. As you all know, we still have jurisdiction out in the 5-mile ETJ. Application submitted by Tech Services. There's some history behind this application. It was submitted a couple of years ago. The same recommendation still applies, only that the recommendation back then was to install the sidewalk, including the curb and gutter. Years back, before the plat recordation of the subject property, the applicant or the developer, the property owner, did not have the funds back then, so it was never constructed, so the plat never got recorded. So therefore, they came back and reapplied for the replat. And also with the same variance, they still continue to wish to get granted that sidewalk waiver. Our recommendation still remains the same. They would have to build the sidewalk before plat recordation. Here you have a property, the property in question. This is one whole lot, and this is a division of the, creating an additional lot, which is this one here.
And the sidewalk would be where?
The sidewalk would be, let me get to the photo so you have a better idea. This is a site view, street view of the properties. So this is a residence, the two-story house, and you have a double wide mobile home. So the sidewalk would be built along the perimeter of the property. You do have curb and gutter off of, I believe it's Hilltop, but let me make sure. Yes, you do have curb and gutter along this here, but you would, there's a portion missing off of Hilltop Circle that needs to be built, or that recommending that it gets built. We did send out 79 notices to the abutting property owners within the 500 feet radius as required, and we received 2 in return as undeliverable.
The
We do-
houses, I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
The houses in the vicinity, like the neighboring houses, do they have sidewalks?
Not in the area. There's none.
Like not in like.
In the vicinity, no.
Nothing at all?
No, not to my knowledge. We do have the engineer record. Do you know if there's any in the vicinity? I don't think there is. I checked the aerial maps and there's none.
Back when this plan was submitted 3 years ago, I don't think there was pavement or curb and gutter.
Yeah.
And it's a substantial amount of linear feet of sidewalk, it's a corner lot. The property owner, didn't want to build it out due to her financial situation, but at this point, 3 years down the line, she just wants to finalize it. So this is what's required, she's moving forward.
We also received feedback from the county, former county engineer, Hector Canales, who was recommending that the sidewalk be built, and our current county planning director, director and county engineer also requesting that the sidewalk be built.
Okay, well, this is a public hearing, so at this time, I'll entertain any comments from the public. Anyone that wishes to say anything on this item? Anyone from council that has any questions, concerns? If there are none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing at 5:55 PM. Did you have anything else?
I do have the
I'm sorry.
recommendation.
Yes.
I'll go ahead and read it out for you. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommend to the City of Eagle Pass, or Eagle Pass City Council to, 1, grant the subdivision variance to proceed directly to final replat without first having obtained preliminary replat approval as required by City of Eagle Pass Code of Ordinances, Section 23-36A, and 2, to deny a sidewalk waiver request including curb and gutter as it does not conform with the criteria set forth in Section 23-64 governing sidewalks. And 3, to grant the final approval of the proposed final replat of Lot 21 in Block 2 of Loma Bonita Heights Subdivision Unit 1, subject to the plat complying with the provisions of Article 3 of the City of Eagle Pass Code of Ordinances, Chapter 23, governing procedures and specifications for final plats, including the following conditions. 1 being that the sidewalk be installed along the perimeter of the parcel adjacent to Bianca Drive and Hilltop Circle prior to plat recordation, and also to construct the curb and gutter along the side property adjacent to Hilltop Circle prior to plat recordation. So that concludes our...
That's your recommendation? Okay. So if there are no comments, anything on this, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing at 5:56 PM. And at this time, I'll entertain a motion on this
Is there any
item.
way that I can ask a legal question before we vote on this? Can we take
Sure.
it to executive? Okay.
You'd like to ask a legal question on this, and you take it? Okay. So is that a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to take this, to table and take it to executive session.
Okay, we have a motion to take item number 2 into executive session by Mayor Pro Tem Davis.
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Diaz.
Just for the record, Mayor, that
Discussion?
would be under 551-072, real property matters.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
We have a motion and
And attorney client.
excellent. All in favor? Unanimous. We'll take number 2 into executive session. Item number 3, public hearing on an appeal to the decision made by the Planning and Zoning Commission on the request submitted by 6R Enterprises LLC for a conditional use permit to allow the establishment of an entertainment venue in property located at 475 Adams Street. Closing of public hearing and possible action. At this time, we will open this public hearing at 5:57 PM. Mr.
Mayor,
Marrera?
Council, good evening, thank you. So this item is an appeal. The item was taken before Planning and Zoning for the conditional use permit request for this entertainment use property at 475 Adams Street. And I'll go through some of the details of what took place at that meeting, as well as some of the details that were presented to Planning and Zoning there. It's B2 Central Business District in the downtown, in the historic area. It's been an existing entertainment in this use for, I believe, 5 to 7 years. It did change ownership, and so part of that change of ownership requires the permits and things to be updated. So we went through that process. Here's a photo of the property, usually known as Victorian House. A couple other views, aerial view, which we did notice there are some apartments and 1 or 2 residential in the vicinity. And here are those images of some of those apartments and small homes. This would be on the rear of the Victorian. Zoning map on your left here, and land use map on the right. So key details of what was presented there, or what the determination on that item was to approve the CUP request to allow the entertainment use. But the thing that's being appealed and what we want to bring before you here is that it was approved with conditions of hours of operation of 10 p.m. for weekday operation and 1 a.m. for weekend, Friday and Saturday. The thing that's important to know, and here's a view of on 169 Ford Street that had also applied for a similar entertainment use in January of this year. And they were also approved for their entertainment use, but that one was approved with no conditions, no hours of operation restrictions. So just to be fully transparent, we presented the recommendation the same way. This one, the picture on the home on the right is a residential property. That homeowner was very involved in that process and said, you know, a venue here right next to me is going to impact me. I wake up early to go to work, and so we did feel it pertinent to recommend that approval with the hours of operation restriction to try to take that into consideration, the nearby residents behind this one. So, and then again, to be consistent, well, at that time, Planning and Zoning approved it, but did not accept the conditions. They removed those conditions from our recommendation, so they approved it without. So to be consistent.
In the other one, they can be open until 4 or 5 in the morning, hypothetically speaking, or?
Well, it's just regular.
Regular,
business hours, like a 2 a.m.
yeah, like a
2 a.m.
regular business hours.
And that one's next to the home?
That's the one that's on Ford Street.
This is
Yeah.
Ford Street. This is one we're comparing just to show you
Because that one was
similar.
accepted before.
Right.
So it's
They
next
put-
to the home. And the other one has no homes next to it?
Not directly next to it, they're behind the property
But not that close.
facing Washington Street. So
Gotcha.
to be consistent, we recommended the same way we did for that one, with the conditions as something to consider. But now, you know, looking at the situation, our recommendation would be to be consistent. You know, if one's not going to have it, then the other shouldn't either. And that's what we would want to bring before you now, is those hours of operation. So we still recommend that the CUP be approved for that entertainment at the Victorian House. But at this point, being that Lily's venue, KC Hall, this one that on Ford Street are all approved without hours of operation, then I think the fair thing would be that none of them have hours of operation restrictions, including the Victorian. So we'll, I guess, turn it over for thoughts.
They're all, like you said, in the same vicinity, correct?
They're all in the same
They all have
vicinity, and
residences
there's a
within
little
close
bit
proximity, you know.
of residential, not a lot of residential near, but
And I do think it's important, I mean, there's also bars in that vicinity, right? They're not going to shut down early, nor should we expect them to. And if the ordinance, or if the conditions, the way that they're approved, affect the business, their business model, right? Like, if they're not able to conduct business, then I think that we're interfering in impeding in business. And that's definitely not something that I'm on board with.
And a lot is said also in being consistent, like you said. You're going to apply a rule, an ordinance, a law to someone, it should be applied consistently to make it fair, right?
Right. I mean, and not only that, it's like when the prior business owner had it, they didn't have any conditions, and now there's a new business owner, now there's being conditions. That's not consistent, and that's just not good business. I mean, as a city, or, I mean, we need to be consistent, like you said. I mean, straight across the board, and I don't have a problem moving forward with removing the condition and pushing forward with the same thing with everyone else.
And about the residential issue that probably you all question, remember that, before giving a CO or a certificate of occupancy, we already took care of the neighbors as well, right? To approve that there's gonna be somehow a business or not. So it's just concerning the hours of operation. Once a business, it's already approved and open.
Exactly.
So yes, just to be fair,
Because it
I
would have probably
think.
been twice, because the first business owner had started with the Victorian House and now with the transfer, so it's been done twice.
Okay.
Is there anyone in the public that has any comments or concerns regarding this item? Yes, Maribel?
Should we just, put a recommendation, just make sure that we disclose that no conditions and hours of operations end at 2 a.m. maybe, just so that,
Well, just
We have a-
whatever's applied to the others.
Well, that wasn't.
Or
What is
three,
the
no,
ordinance
that
say on
was
the
a-
other ones?
okay.
Does it say 2 a.m. or what is?
No,
what
no,
is-
no,
There's
because
the non-condition, there's nothing.
they
there's
left it
nothing
in the
there.
air,
No
they said
hours.
that we assume that it's 2 a.m. That's why I'm
Well,
saying.
because that's when they can no longer
I
sell.
don't think anyone's staying
Correct.
past that. Right.
Okay.
But, okay.
Do you need a motion?
Well,
or-
first, any additional comments, concerns? We have to close the public hearing. If there isn't any additional comments, we'll close the public hearing at 6:04 PM. And now I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve and to grant it without the conditions. Is that
I'll second.
what we're needing to do?
Yes.
We have a said motion by Mayor Pro Tem Davis and a second by Councilwoman Cruz. Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Item 4, public hearing on the request submitted by PWS Holdings 23 LLC for the rezoning of 2.114 acres located in Survey 8, abstract number 1111, Maverick County, Texas, and being part of and out of a Block A of Holly Park Subdivision Unit 5, according to the map of recorded under envelope 48, side B of the map records of Maverick County, Texas. For reference, said 2.1114 acre tract, being that certain called 2.1117 acre tract conveyed from Maxi Family Limited Partnership, a Texas limited partnership, to Daniel W. Hartman and wife Irma Alicia Hartman by warranty deed with vendor's lien recorded under Book 560, page 70 of the official public records of Maverick County, Texas. Said 2.114 acre tract also being that certain called 2.117 acre tract conveyed from Kalik Development LLC to Lewis E. Stock by warranty deed recorded under Book 1876, page 460 of the official public records of Maverick County, Texas, from B1 Neighborhood Business District to B3 General Business District. Closing of public hearing. We'll go ahead and open this public hearing at 6:06 PM.
Sorry about that.
It was a long one, right? It's okay.
So what you have before you is a rezone application submitted by PWS Holdings 23 LLC, property owner being Louis E. Stock and Vicky L. Stock, trustees of the Stock Revocable Trust. Property location is 2423 East Main Street. So you have an aerial of the site. Not sure if everyone's familiar with the area off of Main Street. The subject property is in between Wendy's and the Pizza Hut.
Right.
Current zoning is, like you mentioned, B1, business, neighborhood business district, and their applicant is requesting to rezone to a B3, which is general business district. Currently, it's a vacant lot. The proposed use would be an express car wash. The master plan indicates it's a commercial property. The vicinity, the site is an area that is primarily comprised of commercial developments and multifamily complex directly to the rear of the subject lot. Here again, you have the location of the site, aerial map. You have additional, some other site photos. And you have a preliminary site plan of what's being proposed. Pretty much like the Blue Wave, where you can have a membership and so
Right.
forth. We
Hopefully
al-
it's touch-free.
What's that?
Hopefully it's a touch-free car wash.
I'm not sure about that. If I knew, I would let you know, but I don't have those details. We do also have Louis Stock in the audience, if y'all have any questions for him. Here's another zoomed in site plan. Here you have the master plan, which is this one here. It's indicating it's a commercial lot. This is our zoning map.
Is the car wash gonna take all the space?
I want to say they're coming back
I'll
with
ask
a
Mr.
lot too, if I'm not mistaken, Placido.
They're gonna take about 3/4 of it, and then they're gonna be an adjacent.
Like a small pad site.
Okay.
Between there and Vito.
So I'll go ahead and read out our recommendation, that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend that the City Council prepare and adopt an ordinance granting zoning district change from B1 Neighborhood Business District to B3 General Business District for property located, I'm not going to read that out, at 2423 East Main Street. So that completes our recommendation.
Okay. Any questions or concerns from the public regarding this item? Yes, sir.
Actually, I have a question. What was the reason why it was part of the neighborhood business district? Was it because of that old,
Hotel.
It was a hotel.
There were hotels. It was a hotel.
Okay, there's no more hotels, so.
Right.
The majority, and just to add more details to that, the majority of the properties fronting any major highway or right-of-way, they're zoned as B1. So anything that's not already been, has already been rezoned has to go through the same process.
Mr. Stock, do you want to add something, or are we good?
I'm fine, everything good.
All right. Any questions from council?
No.
Anything? Okay, we've heard the recommendation, so if there are no questions, no further questions, we'll go ahead and close this public hearing at 6:10 PM, and I will entertain a motion regarding,
That one is actually on item number,
We'll go
is it amenable to proceed to item number 12?
yes, let's go ahead and jump to item number 12. Let me read it again.
You can just say for the record the address.
Copy and paste, can you just?
Does he have to read it off?
It's just the ordinance actually formalizing what you just read.
So I don't have to read it all?
No, if you just want to read just the first one, that it's going to be an ordinance.
Okay.
Just the first.
Item number
portion.
12, this is an ordinance regarding the item number 4 that we just read and discussed. So at this time, I will entertain a motion regarding item number 12.
I make a motion
We have
to
a-
approve.
We have a motion to approve by Councilwoman Cruz and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Davis. Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Imelda. Thank you, Imelda. On behalf of the mayor, thank you, Imelda.
Yes, thank you, Imelda. Thank you very much. We have the consent items coming up next. At this time, I'll ask council if there's any item that you wish to take out of order so that we can discuss individually. Please let me know and we'll go ahead and do so. If not, I'll go ahead and read the consent agenda items. All right, we'll go ahead and go through them. Item 5 is approval of the minutes for May 2nd, May 11, and the May 15 meeting. Item 6, second reading of an ordinance of the City of Eagle Pass Code of Ordinances establishing a public health department under Texas Health and Safety Code, Section 121, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public, as required by law, providing a severability clause and establishing an effective date. Item 7, the third and final reading of an ordinance changing the zoning district classification of Lot 2 and Block 16 of Hillcrest Addition, 562 Medina Street from R1, First One Family Dwelling District to R3 Duplex District, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law, providing a severability clause and establishing an effective date. Item 8, third and final reading of an ordinance amending Section 26-27B, Article I, or 1, is that? I, Chapter 26, Traffic of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Eagle Pass to update designated routes, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law, providing a severability clause and establishing an effective date. Item 9, third and final reading of an ordinance changing the zoning district classification of lots 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, north 33 feet in Block 23 of Hillcrest Addition from B1 Neighborhood Business District to B3 General Business District, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law, providing a severability clause and establishing an effective date. Item 10, consideration and possible approval of a resolution of the City Council of the City of Eagle Pass, Texas, authorizing the submission of a Texas Community Development Block Grant Program application to the Texas Department of Agriculture for the Community Development Fund, and authorizing city manager and finance director to act as the city's authorized representatives in all matters pertaining to the city's participation in the Texas Community Development Block Grant Program. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve these items. We have a motion by Councilwoman Cruz.
Second.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem Davis. All in favor? Unanimous. We'll go ahead and move on to our monthly reports. Absolutely. Yes. We'll go ahead, actually, let's go ahead and skip to item 13. 13 is consideration and possible approval of an ordinance amending Chapter 27, Water and Sewer, Article 2, Sections 27-40 and 27-41 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Eagle Pass, Texas, to update and finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law, providing a severability clause and establishing an effective date. Somebody presenting on this item? Mr. Barrera? Mr. Barrera, how are you, sir?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you.
This is item 13.
Yes. This is just a proposed ordinance change for Section 2740 and 2741. We will be adding on both of them where you have to connect water before you can connect the sewer, because that's sometimes is an issue for us at the water system. People just want to connect the water. So anytime you want to connect either, or people are wanting to connect only water first. So on this, we're just adding the part where you do have to connect to sewer before you can connect to water.
Okay. All right. Any questions? I'll entertain a motion.
What does it do to existing customers that are
Existing, I think, because everything's already
the
there.
new permits?
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion on that item. To approve. Second by Mayor Pro Tem Davis and a second by Councilman Diaz. Discussion. All in favor? Unanimous. Yeah, number 4, the next one is yours too. 14, consideration and possible approval of new members to the Eagle Pass Waterworks System Impact Fee Advisory Committee.
Yes, thank you once again. This is every 5 years. We have to go through the impact fees to see if we will increase or decrease if it's water and wastewater. We have contracted Capex Consulting to do the research for us, to do the work, but we do need to create or recreate again the impact fee, and the 5 names that we have given to council are Louis Stock, Larry Martin, Monica Valdez, Julio Salazar, and Benny Rodriguez to be part of the 5-member committee.
This time I'll entertain a motion to approve those committee members.
So moved.
We have a
second.
motion by Mayor Pro Tem Davis and a second by Councilwoman Cruz. Discussion. All in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Have a
Mr.
good day.
Barrera.
Thank you,
Mr. Flores, thank you, sir. We good? Moving on to our monthly reports. We're starting off with the bridge. And, Mr. Olmedo, I do have a question for you. Well, not a question. Good afternoon. I have a comment. I've been getting the numbers from you through text, through email, about the increased border crossings through our port, which is great news for the city of Eagle Pass. But I just wanted you to give a brief update, just so the public can know about how our port is growing.
Yes, definitely. So, first and foremost, good afternoon, Mayor, Council. Yes, we are very proud right now of the growth that we are seeing at the Port of Eagle Pass. Our international bridges are doing great when it comes to all types of the traffic that we service. For the month of May, we had some pretty significant increases at all levels. For non-commercial vehicles, we had a total of 265,139 vehicles that crossed into Mexico, compared to 237,063 last year. So that's an increase of 28,076 vehicles, or almost 12%. So that's very impressive. We continue to see the arrow pointing up on a month-to-month basis, so we're extremely happy about that. Commercial vehicles is one of our biggest traffic types that we're really working hard to try to promote, to grow more trade, to cross through our Camino Real International Bridge. In the month of May, we had 19,537 commercial trucks cross through our bridge, compared to 16,348 in May of last year. That's an increase of 3,189 trucks, or almost 20%. So that's extremely impressive. We're extremely proud and grateful for Mayor and Council and City Administration to continue to support our efforts in promoting the Port of Eagle Pass and attending these trade shows and getting more of these transport and logistics firms to realize that there is a commercial bridge in Eagle Pass, and we do want them to consider us an option for their export-import needs into either the United States or Mexico. I'll just quickly mention pedestrians as well. Last year we had, in May, we had a total of 31,356. This year we had 38,044, an increase of almost 7,000, or 21%. So, like I said, all our numbers are in the black. Our traffic continues to grow, so we continue to work hard to try to facilitate facilitate the traffic through our bridges without, impeding our local traffic that much. But we continue to advocate to bring more and more traffic through here and continue to work hard to push them across as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible.
And we see you, your team, we're very grateful. The economic development marketing team, you've been going, like you said, to
Yes.
Monterrey, Torreon, so that's had an impact.
Definitely had an impact. I can count on our economic development team and our marketing team to always be a part of the team, and we work great together, and we are promoting the same thing, right? The growth of the port, and with that, we know that the growth of the port will ultimately equal to growth in the city and economic development within the city. So we're extremely happy about it. I can't say thank you enough to Arturo and Aide, because I know they have their departments to run, but at the same time, they're always willing to join our efforts in traveling and making sure that our voices are heard wherever it is that we're at.
Thank you, Madam.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Economic development. What can we say, Mr. Marquez? You all are doing a great job, pretty much everyone, so thank you. Finance grants. Fire.
Well, if I may.
Please.
I have two concerns, for fire and police, because they go
Sure, hand in hand.
hand in hand.
You want both, Chief?
Sure, and it's very simple, sir. About the sick leave, I have too many questions. I know that the sick leave has been frozen for between 7 and 8 years. Can you just explain a little bit more on that, please? Or the whys we're in the same situation?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council.
And I'm sorry, I wasn't
For
planning on putting it
that
in the
one,
spot, but.
I would have to pass you on to Human Resources.
Okay.
It has been frozen for quite a while, and my personal opinion, it should be let go.
Yes.
If that sick leave that we're talking about is previous to civil service. So that was banked. Civil service sick leave is being accumulated, but that one has been banked. So you would have to finish up all of your civil service sick leave to start using your regular sick leave, which is the one that is banked. But again, that would be something that I think HR would be more apt to answer that question.
Okay, is there, yes, I'll wait for Human Resources.
Ms. Campos?
And just if I may, like the chief said, this was pre-civil service. So the decision at the time was that the way in the hours accrued after civil service is way different than what they used to have before. So also there's a payout clause that they have during of being civil service. So it's way more than the normal employee has. So the thresholds are very high and they can keep accumulating what the normal employee can't. So what was decided at the time was that you can reach or use those civil service hours, those sick leave hours before pre-civil service as soon as you finish everything else that you have accrued. So it's not necessarily that they're frozen, it's just that that's the way, the process to be able to reach to them. But they're there, it belongs to the employee. It just doesn't get paid out at the end of when they leave the city.
So whenever they retire or they leave?
Yeah, that doesn't get paid out. As what does get paid out is what's after civil service was implemented. And again, the thresholds are way different than what it was before.
You want to add anything to that?
I mean, Mr. Murua explained it pretty well. That happened back in 2015 when civil service was adopted. So our civil service legal team at the time made that strong recommendation based on the differences. Most cities, a lot of times would even clear the hours. Those hours aren't counted as those, but the city at the time decided to keep those balance, but in a way to protect the city because of the larger threshold with civil service payout. They were determined to just use those hours if needed. So they're there available to use, but that they were not able to pay out upon separation.
So if an employee were to retire, they would lose out on these?
Yes, technically that's the way
But
to
they
phrase it.
serve them, so that's the part that I'm still trying to understand. It's
Is there-
theirs.
I'm sorry. Is there any way we can pay them out if they wish to, let's say, sell their days back? I mean,
I guess it's something we can maybe send it to legal to look at.
Yeah, we need to look,
Take
we
it
need
to
to look at
executive
options and also, we can bring it back as an item because there's
Yes.
more rationale behind it.
Yeah,
But
I
I
think
would
it
like to explain it
would be
to
better
council.
to put it in a meeting, and we can put it as an item.
Under
and
executive
discuss it.
session, yes, please.
Okay.
And, well, one more question, I mean, now that I'm taking advantage that you're here, the stress leave, I mean, is it possible to, and I already told you, and I don't know why but to make an exemption for fire, police, and public works to change the fact of the 48-hour in advance notice for, I mean, to require that day because they see things, you don't understand?
We don't.
Okay, well, because I was told that they have to tell you ahead of time, 48 hours that came from your department in order to ask for the stress day, to get the stress day.
No,
So is
sorry.
it not?
No, that's determined, just like when they notify for sick leave or any other reason, the department makes that
Decision.
call. Yes.
So it's per
So it's
director?
their department policy.
So it's their director.
So however they want to have them requested is what was done.
Yeah,
But
because some
there
of
was
them,
no
were denied, and
directive
it
on
was
that.
48-hour wait, and they had a really rough night, so I was just wondering, because
Oh,
they,
okay.
they experience different things that the other
Right.
departments do, so I just wanted to
It
make
might be
sure.
because of scheduling. I would think that, I mean, I wouldn't know the reasoning why putting a 48-hour
Yeah.
clauses, but, I mean, if you think about since they were a 24-hour operation, it might be a little bit different for them to schedule.
There's no
And whatever they
There's no
experience.
specific rule, it was really just kind of what worked for the departments. I think they already had things in place for whenever people called in sick or other things, so I'm assuming they kind of applied the same rules
Okay.
to asking for the wellness leave.
Okay.
But there's nothing set, like in the policy, in the city policy.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Library, marketing, municipal courts, parks and recreation, planning and building, police, code enforcement, security, animal control, public works, waste management, tax departments. We do have our lobbyist, Mr. Marco Rodriguez. Sir, I want to invite you to, if you could please give us an update on this session. I know there was a lot going on.
Thank you, Mayor and Councilman.
Yes, sir.
It's my pleasure to announce three things. One, I want to publicly thank the Office of State Representative Eddie Morales for the countless hours, the countless coordination, and just policy coordination. It's very significant, it's very hard, and I want to thank him publicly for that help for the community. Second, I was smart enough to get an Eagle Pass native, Carlos de la Peña, to help us as our legal analyst throughout legislative session. Carlos was a great addition to our team and very responsible for many developments. Third, we followed the community agenda very closely while also paying attention to city-specific issues. This probably has been, of my years, only just a few, of all my years in legislative session, this has probably been the most anti-city, anti-municipal government environment that I've seen at the legislative session. We don't have the time today, but I would like to talk in the future. Your planning, zoning, bonding, and general ordinance authority were all, under attack by the legislative process. One final bill did pass, HB 2127, and the lawyers are looking at that right now to see the actual effect on Eagle Pass. So
What is that bill? Can you briefly?
it's an ordinance bill for cities saying they cannot surpass or undo legal ordinances of the state. So there's a little bit of confusion on what that actually means. But a lot of review. Session just finished. We are in a second special session. The House has already sine died, which means they have adjourned. So the Senate will stay in session for a couple more weeks. I predict a second special session in September to address property taxes. The governor didn't call me today, but if he did, property taxes, border security, and possible voucher legislation would probably be on the call in September. We have to wait and see on that. My final recommendation is we do have a community agenda report we forwarded to the manager. What I recommend, Mayor, is you call that community group again together in the very near future, and we go through a report of each community agenda item. So we can figure out that the $3 billion plus of water infrastructure, how does that affect a community like Eagle Pass? And what is necessary to do that, for example, the constitutional amendment. TxDOT would be an actual report and produce.
Border funding.
Border funding, and some of the border funding of Operation Lone Star is contingent upon border security legislation that has not passed, that may pass in September. So I think that community meeting and an actual workshop, we go through some of those priorities, getting ready for session that, sorry for the bad news, is 17 months away for January 2025.
Do we have any insight as to how the funding for, the new funding for border security, how that's shaping up and what might be included? I'm wondering which part of our legislative priorities might be strategically placed into
Right.
that funding.
Operation Lone Star is appropriated in very similar ways to the previous appropriations process. However, there's specific funding regarding human trafficking aspects of that operation. New attention, a new microscope on that issue. So that funding is in limbo and or question right now in the larger Operation Lone Star. We did retain, remember Representative Morales was successful last session in passing local government grants and reimbursements for law enforcement. That is retained. Part of that workshop, Mayor, would be what's that actual number? We're looking at all those documents right now, but what's the actual number regarding that appropriation?
my understanding and speaking to the legal counsel and representatives is that there's a new category by TxDOT just for border funding.
Most definitely.
Obviously, we'd like to tap into that any way possible, anything that we can do to get some funds, much needed funds.
I think one thing we did better this year is we had the Eagle Pass Maverick County Days early, in earlier February, and that just created a lot of energy and momentum, throughout the legislative session.
Okay.
At this time, I'll stop here with the final recommendation that we call that community-wide meeting and build it as a workshop.
Yeah.
To actually go through.
We'll go ahead and schedule that, Ivan, maybe for late June, July.
That would be fine.
Yeah,
That would be-
okay.
And we'll come right back to that. My last agenda item is to have a quick conversation with Mr. Valderas on your very successful trade summit that's
Yes, sir.
right around the corner, so good to work on
We're
that
looking
also.
forward to that, and thank you for the update. Any questions for Mr. Mark? Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other questions for any of our departments?
I'm going to take advantage for your honest opinion planning department and for council to consider. Honestly, I've been worried about many projects that are behind from being approved, and that means interest and money to the developer, and they get anxious, and pretty much they think that it's coming from the planning department. I mean, we might approve something in the planning department within a week or so, and then passing through all the process, I know it's tough, has to go through planning and zoning, and then it has to come with us, and let's say that we skip a planning and zoning board meeting because there was no quorum, and then we just keep adding and adding another. It's not a week, it's months, and that costs money for the developer, and it keeps just going and going. So is there any recommendation on your end? I mean, I was talking about the possibility maybe of having the workshops that many years back, used to have maybe between zoning, planning and zoning committee and, council or something, so that we can probably just facilitate the process or speed up a little bit, or any other recommendation on your end, maybe 2 meetings per month? I mean, I'm just talking out loud, but just something, because we need to know your side of the story as well. I get the calls as well. I know it's tough, and not necessarily it's coming from you guys. It's because we slower without, a bad intention at all in mind. We just slow the process because of all the meetings.
Are
So-
you saying like the 2 meetings, like for the planning and zoning or for us, or?
No, yeah, because there's a process. So let's say like right now, there's one that we were dealing with right now, and they're already paid for 3 months because they keep extending because either we had to miss one of the previous meetings, or this one, or we keep adding. I know there's steps and we have to follow them up, but is there any other way to to facilitate the process a little bit?
Is there, I guess,
go
where there's a
faster?
bottleneck? Where's the bottleneck?
what do you
can we
recommend?
help you do to push it through faster?
Yeah, so it's a really good point and an important one. And the state has been very interested in this topic too. They passed, I think it's House Bill 3147 is the number a few years ago, which is a 30-day shot clock.
Exactly.
And it's an effort to make sure that we're processing these things and moving forward. And basically says if we can't move them fast enough, essentially it's an automatic approval and moving forward. So it's a very big topic. What we've created is a 2-week cycles. So depending on when somebody turns in a fully complete application, it would fall into the next 2-week cycle. And that ties directly into our planning and zoning meeting. So we have the second Thursday of the month. And then for the most part, we are needing and having on the 4th Thursday, a special meeting. So we are typically doing 2 meetings a month to handle that
Internal
workflow and making sure that we get them. Ideally, the goal is to get them here to council as quickly as we can. One thing we've been looking at too is changing the regular planning and zoning meeting date to the 3rd or 4th week of the month, to where it's closer to this first Tuesday. So they get to P&Z, and then ideally within a week or two, they can be getting here. So we're looking at every way to shrink that time frame of required public hearings. Another thing I've seen and researched, because I'm with you, this is an important thing. We're trying to find ways to make this faster. Not every city does what we do in requiring both Sometimes they go to planning and zoning, they get that approval, it's done. It doesn't also need to come to city council, or it could be one or the other, I guess would be possible, but that's another option. And obviously would change very drastically the way we do it now. But if everything's open, you know, I did see that some other cities handle it that way. Another thing that it does take time, we do our best to do like a 5 to 7 day where all the departments, because usually it's a multi-departmental review for commercial projects or land development plats. So that's our department, Public Works, Engineering, Fire Marshal, Public Safety, you know, there's a lot of people that are involved in that review. So we ask all of them to try to make sure that as soon as we send it to them, they have between 5 and 7 days, they get back to us, and we turn that back around and give them the comments. Obviously, there's a lot of work out there in the commercial side too, so sometimes we send those comments, and engineers are busy. You know, they can't drop what they're doing to respond, so sometimes it's a couple weeks for them to do the revisions and comments they need. So it's a little bit of a lot of things that get to it, but I think, you know, the goal that we could be at is about 45 days from a complete application to a subdivision review, and then giving them a little bit of time, the applicant side, to revise and respond, get to planning and zoning. A lot of times there's public hearings or public notices we have to provide, so there's several things that require time, and so it's about 40 or 45 days is about the smallest we
No,
can
that I
figure to shrink
understand
it
because
down.
it's process, but is there any way that either Planning and Zoning Committee and us as council can facilitate you know, that process, or do you recommend more meetings? Do you recommend, I mean, what is your recommendation to be?
Well, I hadn't thought of your idea, what you said about a dual. I hadn't considered that. If that's a possibility, I'll need to check with legal on if one needs to technically happen before the other, but that would obviously be a big increase, because it's
why don't
usually
you-
at least a week between the two.
Why don't you, what you just said, some cities do it differently, maybe take a look at other cities, ask them if they're more efficient, it goes quicker, do that study and present it to council?
Yeah, maybe by the next council meeting, you can kind of explore different options, and we can
So we'll
weigh
show
some of them.
the plating or commercial permitting, or what, is there something
Oh,
specific you want, we want to be looking at?
like a way of us in the meetings, if we can just, if you need us in certain projects to just have, let's say, instead of having one meeting, have two, or that you need certain,
But who has, instead of in one meeting, two? The planning and
like
zoning
us, we
commission?
have one a month, right? So let's say that we have.
We have a regular and a special meeting.
Yeah, we have a regular for sure, special meeting if special things
Needed.
come up.
Because there's a couple of, I mean, well, at least these couple of months, I mean, we've been behind, I know, that's why I'm asking. If there's another process, please present it to us so
Well,
that we
definitely.
can help you. Because I know that one thing is internally and the other one is here outside, so that we can just get it over.
Just so I know what to focus on, is it the land of it, the plating side where you're looking at? Because I know you mentioned about the meeting, so that's
Yes,
more the
mostly,
plating.
those are the ones that
Okay.
actually cost more money to the people involved. And, I mean, if we already have them approved internally, how can we just get them out a little bit faster? Because to them, every month costs not hundreds, thousands of dollars, and that's where they get to us and are, you know, kind of anxious. So just to make our part too, and that brings business as well faster, and it's just a chain, we all
But-
help each other.
But I have heard it on the, for certificates of occupancy, like for the small
Oh, no,
business
for all
owners.
that, yes, we're
it-
good.
No, but I've heard it on that side as well, where
Oh.
like they've been delayed, you know, also, right? Like, and sometimes a business might be
Sure.
already paying rent
Oh, yes.
and not have their certificate yet. So I think one of the things we had talked about was maybe the possibility of like doing like a very streamlined checklist and making it maybe a little bit more robust, so that if somebody runs into an issue or a roadblock, these are your options, right? And then if you run into that roadblock, these are your options, so that they're not having to get a hold of staff members without any guidance, right? Like, so kind of just showing them a roadmap, start to finish.
Well, you do have it, right?
I know that
We
we were.
could, we have some, we could definitely improve in that area. I'll be totally honest with certificate of occupancies. It's one of our areas we need to improve.
Inspections, we were talking
We've been
about that.
short-staffed, there's different things, the ones we have are getting up to speed on certificate of occupancy, so it is an area we need to improve. We're pretty excited about the new company we're gonna be bringing in. They have a building official that'll be able to come down to us, help us on-site, go to inspections with us. We're gonna be able to learn a lot from them, and I'm looking forward to that being one of the areas we can learn a lot from those the certified building officials. But, yeah, streamline checklists and things like that, we definitely will continue working on it. We have a lot of goals, a lot of things on our plate, but that is one that would help.
Yeah.
We will work at that, yeah.
Okay.
Maribel, you wanted to say something?
Just to answer to your concern, years back, before we would have or hold workshops, both P and Z and City Council, when it came to major development projects, like you mentioned. I'm not sure if that's what you all want to do, but we'll go ahead and check.
We'll discuss
Yeah,
it.
yeah, because I'm familiar with, because we, you know, in the
We're gonna have
past
one
we
of those
worked
in
like
years.
that, but I mean, if you
I don't think we've
can.
had one of those in years.
In years.
Years.
I mean, you've been here the longest, Mr. B, so I don't know.
I only got 4 years left, that's it.
Can you recall having workshops?
No one has that, you're
Amanda
right.
remembers, but we used to have them years back.
Thank you, Ms.
I've been
Monica,
here
for bringing
longer.
that up. We're also gonna look at
No, only
the
20
option of maybe adding alternates to the planning and zoning.
Yes.
Because sometimes we have issues making quorum, so that's another option that Lassie and I discussed. But maybe you can come up with options for the next meeting and just present it and see what council feels comfortable with.
So-
But yeah, I completely agree with
that
you,
was one of the
Mr.
things
James.
that I was
Another
thinking
thing
of.
that we can do, because I know like how we had the regular and the special meetings, I mean, because we can do that where we can even divvy up some of the items so the meetings are not as long. I mean, that way if you're meeting more often, you know, we can get things pushed through, because some things that needed 3 readings, it's taking too long to get to the 3rd reading. So, I mean, I understand that goes in all the
We have 3
areas.
readings. We have a bunch of meetings back to back, so
So
I know
it's
that
doable.
you do a great job of that.
It's doable.
No, and yes, thank you that you're
So
doing.
for
Thank you.
next meeting, we'll bring some more information on
Please.
what we found in other cities and what we can, I guess, ideas, how we can improve the process.
Thank
And
you.
I promise, I didn't want to put more load into your, but it's just for something good.
It's an important topic.
Yes.
We appreciate your work, we really do.
We do. You need help, I'll help.
We know it's a lot with what, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we did item 12, 13, and 14, so we'll go to 15.
Yes.
Consideration and possible action on the petition submitted by Mrs. Maricela Valdez for the extension of the wet zone to include 57 Heights subdivision, unit number 2, block 1, lot 1, 2927 East Main Street, where the sale and consumption of alcohol beverages may be permitted.
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is a petition that was submitted by Valdez de Luna Enterprises. They have complied with the requirements. The planning department, building department, and the fire department have also provided their input. This establishment is, I believe the applicant is, they're here if you have any
Yes.
questions, but they want to provide the services and offer packages which will include alcoholic beverages, and for this, they would need on-premise permit, so that's why it would require it to convert to a wet zone.
Yeah,
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Maybe could you briefly explain what kind of business, I know, but how that connection
See,
with
what I've
alcohol?
seen, I've been in this industry for 25 years or more, all my life. And now I'm with my wife and my family. We're going to open a funeral home. And I see the need of, on their grieving, that they're outside drinking next to the trash can or in the parking lot. So what I want to do is to have them, to offer them a way for them to drink inside the funeral home and control the way that they're drinking. Basically, that's it, just to offer more services. I'm also going to have a flower shop there and a place for them to get together.
Okay, all right.
Just offer more services for them under the grieving.
Thank you for the clarification. Any questions, council?
Where's this located? I'm just.
Where Elisa used to be?
Yes.
Where?
Elisa
Okay.
used to be?
By the hospital.
Your neighbor?
Like, well, it's
By the
looking-
sports
Oh,
complex.
The building's looking nice.
Thank you.
I drove by
Thank
there,
you.
so good job on that. At this time, I'll
Yeah,
entertain.
the recommendation would be to, if you're amenable to approve it, that way we can proceed through the ordinance, 3 ordinance reading to convert it into a wet zone.
I'll entertain a motion on this item.
had a question.
Oh,
Will-
please.
Will there be security or something in case somebody
Well,
reads
right
too
now,
much?
it's, like I said, it's been like 25 years that I've been there, and I've never seen security, but if it gets to that point, I'll have someone, yeah.
I don't know what the ordinance allows for on that, do you know? If there's an issue, I don't know if there's an ordinance that regulates.
I don't think, I don't
I'm
think
not really
there's a-
certain, I don't think so, right? I don't know.
No, there isn't.
It's not a bar.
No, it's,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
It's
say.
just for
It's
them
not
to
a-
have, if they want to
It's-
drink, just
yeah,
have that
if they
option,
wanna have that
because they're
option.
doing it, even, you know,
But does there,
Control it.
yeah.
so, but when you talk about controlling, is there going to be like a limit on the amount of drinks that they can have?
Again, this is something that they're doing right now, so if I can have that in order for me to talk to the family, the next of kin, and ask them, you know, you want for me to buy it for you, or you want for me to control it, who's gonna drink and who's not? If it's underage, or, you know, if it's, I'm gonna offer them that as a part of our service, seeing if we're gonna control how many beers we're gonna buy for them, kind of.
Okay. Any further questions? I'll entertain a motion on this item.
someone,
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Davis to approve, I'm assuming?
oh, yes, sorry.
Okay.
The
And
recommendation.
a second by Councilman Garcia. Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you,
Rivera.
Rick.
Thank you.
May I be excused?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Item 16, discussion and possible action on the 6-month extension request by Tech Services for the final plat of Benito Garcia subdivision.
Somebody else show today.
Maribel?
Plácido Maribel's
Yes,
show.
eh? Talk show host.
Okay, so what you have before you, like you mentioned, Mayor, is a 6-month extension request by Tech Services for the final plat of Benito Garcia subdivision. Property located out in the ETJ off of the Rio Boulevard. You can see we have an aerial map of the site. We have the Deer Run area, or Boulevard, I'm sorry, so we have an idea where it's at. Applicant is Tech Services. Oh, yeah. here you go.
Yeah, I got it.
That's like,
Let's start with the start.
applicant is Tech Services, property located at 3401 Del Rio Boulevard and 3427 Del Rio Boulevard. The legal description is abstract A 1009 GC and SFRRCO, survey number 1, acres 2.0, and abstract A 1009 GC and SFRRCO, survey number 1, acres 4. Existing uses, Lot 1 is currently houses a commercial building and a parking lot, and Lot 2 is currently vacant and undeveloped. Zoning is not applicable as it is in the ETJ. Typically, it's zoned as, or utilized as a B3 or industrial, depending on what's going to be proposed to be built. The request is, again, the extension of a 6-month approval to grant, or period granted on December the 6th of 2022 by the Eagle Pass City Council, including the following terms: that the developer connects the main sewer line before plat recordation. The applicant or the developer was required to bore under the highway. I believe it's under the highway, Mr. Lipson, correct? So they're supposed to bore under the highway to connect to the sewer line. They haven't done so, and that's the reason behind the request to extend the 6 months to comply with the subdivision code. So our recommendation is that the Planning and Zoning Commission grant, or the City Council grant a 6-month extension of the original December 6, 2022 plat approval for the Benito Garcia subdivision, including the following terms: that the developer connects to the main sewer line before plat recordation. This too was taken to our Planning and Zoning Commission on May the 11th of 2023.
And what was their decision?
Their recommendation is for City Council to grant the 6-month request, extension request.
And that's your
with the
recommendation?
condition. That's
Just
correct.
for them to finish what we recommended.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion at this time.
I'll make a motion to extend.
We have a motion to accept this recommendation by Councilman Diaz. Do we have a second? Second by Mayor Pro Tem Davis. Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Item 17, consideration and possible action on the master plan of the Santa Maria Estate subdivision.
This one should be fairly quick. So this item is part of our fairly recent ordinance, approved about 2 years ago, requiring master plans as part of phase developments. They're doing phase 2 of Santa Maria Estate, so we're bringing an updated master plan for the Santa Maria community. Tech Services, the applicant, property owners MVN Enterprises. It is between 2nd Street and Main Street, also near 57 in the 57 Heights subdivision area. And there is utilities, infrastructure is in place. They will be extending that in for these new lots that they propose to do as phase 2. A couple of site photos of the area. Here's their updated master plan. As you can see, here to your top right, phase 1 homes were to the top right of the screen, just above, outside of the picture here would be the Latigo Apartments, and then above that, 2nd Street. And then phase 2 will be this bottom right area, which will also include connection of the roadway to Calle de los Santos, which you can see at the bottom. So that will provide these residents with a second ingress-egress. It is also another, one of our more recent ordinances in recent years. Just a little bit of a closer look, and I do want to point out something that they are proposing to do. Previously, it was all residential. Now they do have 2 proposed apartments, properties down here, Block 5 and Block 6, that would be basically down here at the edge of Santa Maria Boulevard and abutting Calle de los Santos. There is in the vicinity other apartments right here, so it is a compatible, similar use to what's already in place. And so the recommendation here is to grant the approval of this master plan for Santa Maria Estate subdivision.
I mean, it's good that now we have a plan of what it's gonna look like. So, I mean, I'll entertain a motion on this item. We have a motion to approve. Mayor Pro Tem Davis.
Second.
Second by Councilman Diaz. Discussion. All in favor? Unanimous.
Is she
Not-
recusing herself, or-
Yes.
Put her as absent.
Absent is Ms. Cruz.
Yeah, I mean, in all actuality, it's actually good because, I mean, like, I know the Sandovales have those apartments there next to it, so it would all be pretty continuous.
18, consideration and possible action on the preliminary plat of the Santa Maria Estate subdivision, unit number 2.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. So this ties directly into the last item, which was a master plan of Santa Maria Estates, and this is for phase 2, unit 2. It is same applicant, Tech Services, owner, MVN Enterprises. This is 10.26 acres that they are seeking to subdivide into 28 residential lots and the 2 multifamily that I pointed out there at the end of the master plan discussion. Current zones R2 would remain that for the majority except for those 2 apartments that we discussed. Again, the utilities are in place and would be extended into these new 28 lots. We pretty much covered all the key details here. It has gone through the review process, and we are recommending granting of the preliminary plat approval for Santa Maria Estates subdivision unit 2, subject and complying with all ordinances.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion on this item.
One thing I do want to point out, thank you, Maribel, for putting that note at the top. So with the current zone, the way when it was annexed and its current status as R2, once this plat becomes effective, then they will do the rezoning process. It'll be a separate process to change to the apartment use.
Gotcha. It's not
I
automatic.
didn't see it, okay.
All right. So with that said, any other questions or anyone wish to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to proceed.
We have a motion to approve and proceed with the Councilman Diaz. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by
I mean, I don't-
Councilwoman
I just
Cruz.
wanna be the one trying to-
Discussion.
I'm just being quiet now.
This is good. I mean, there's a shortage of
Yeah, I mean, it's a
homes
positive thing.
here in Eagle Pass. So we have a motion, a second, all in favor? It is unanimous. Item number 19, discussion and possible action on the Texas Department of Transportation request for construction speed zoning with provide speed zone layouts. Mr. McGee, are you helping us discuss this item?
Yes, good evening, Council. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
This is just a pretty de facto request from TxDOT. They have a construction project that's going to be on Highway 57, and they want to lower the speed limit, so when it's ever encompasses our city limits, they always ask for us to enforce an ordinance, and so we're the ones going to be enforcing the speed limit. So I think it's 75 miles an hour in that area, and they want to lower it down to 60 miles an hour. So
Where
that's
is
all
this,
it is.
Joe? Where is this?
It's right around the intersection of 480 and 57. It's a little bit before 480 and a little bit past the 480 for the speed limit. The project extends for out, but our city limits is just a small piece over the project.
Okay, what's the recommendation?
That we pass it, yes. It's
Did
like I
they
said.
already do the traffic study, the speed study, or what?
No, it's just a request to lower for the sake of safety during construction for the contractor.
So just during construction?
Just during construction.
After
Okay.
construction, it goes back?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
That was a
construction-
big.
I'm sorry, I thought it was in the
Yeah,
title. It's
yeah.
construction
Yeah, it
speed
says
limit.
there's no backup on this one.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, so just during construction, how long is construction, approximate?
That I don't
You
know.
don't, you wouldn't?
Yeah, but the way it's supposed to work, and I'll make sure, is the speed limit sign should only be up when they're actively working in that area.
Gotcha.
So if they do the construction there and then they move on miles outside, the sign should come down.
So it's very temporary then. Okay. With that said.
I apologize, I thought you were seeing
No.
that we submitted a map and all
No,
that. so-
yeah, but, so we do have a motion by Councilwoman Cruz to approve that? And do we have a second by Councilman Garcia? Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? Thank you. Item 20, discussion and possible action regarding information involving certain procedures and midstream providers of natural gas resulting in economic harm to end users, including governmental entities and proposed litigation therefore, and consider for approval instruction to city manager to accept license to share data on City of Eagle Pass, Texas's behalf from Circles X LLC.
We have somebody who's going to be making a presentation to City Council. Somebody we can bring up person.
Are they here?
No,
They're
gonna
be. Okay. Thought somebody was coming out.
Mayor Salinas,
There they are.
good evening. Just to do a check to make sure the voice doesn't work.
Hey, good evening. How are you, gentlemen?
Thank you so much, Mayor. My name is Joe Jaworski, and we met a little over a year ago in Eagle Pass, and I'm grateful to you, the City Council, and particularly Councilmember Diaz, for making time for us today. And my colleague, Paul Moore, and I are most grateful to be able to attend remotely.
Absolutely. We're happy to have you. And I do remember meeting you, having some coffee. So. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir, that's correct. You were very popular that day and every other day. I was grateful to have a little time with you.
No way.
Mayor, we are here, if I may be heard, is this a good time to begin?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Okay, very good. Our specific request is that Eagle Pass, Texas, stand up and do something about the egregious fraud that occurred before, during, and after Winter Storm Uri in 2021, about 2.5 years ago. Of course, everyone will remember where they were when the lights turned off and it was exceptionally cold and no one had the power to warm themselves. And of course, there was damage all throughout the state. As it turns out, even though people would say things like fix the grid and, you know, surely this had something to do with ERCOT, put all that aside, what we now know is that the state of Texas, every city, every customer who pays an electrical bill, myself, my colleague Paul Moore, all of you on council, and certainly the city of Eagle Pass, we all got Enron. And I mean that most sincerely. We all got Enron. In other words, the owners and monopolistic owners of natural gas and the pipelines withdrew the natural gas from the stream of commerce, creating a rise in the price. And at the time when the price was at its apex, the natural gas was put back in the system at the right price. Who paid that price? We all did. In order for there to be electricity, we must convert natural gas or some other feedstock to create electricity. When you remove that feedstock from the conversion plants, it obviously plays havoc on the electrical grid. So while we all blamed the electrical providers, the fact is they were victims too. They paid what they had to get the electricity created and the lights turned back on. As it turns out, nobody had that kind of money to actually satisfy the debt, which we allege in a lawsuit filed in Harris County, Mayor, is no less than $55 billion. And so the electrical providers did the only thing they could, which was go to the state legislature in the special sessions in 2021 in the fall and ask for permission to securitize their debt to the natural gas provider. Well, this permission was granted, and so the electrical providers, retail and wholesale, went to the capital markets in New York and elsewhere to raise the tens of billions of dollars to pay the owners of natural gas. And that incredible amount of money, that capitalization, is going to be paid off by you, me, everyone in Eagle Pass, and pretty much every ratepayer in Texas for the next 30 years. That's a fraud on the state of Texas. There is a lawsuit filed in Harris County, and the opportunity for Eagle Pass is to license the data of one plaintiff in the lawsuit so that Eagle Pass may have the data, examine it, and add its claim and recover physical damage that the city's property may have experienced that wasn't paid by insurance. And secondly, more importantly in my view, to protect itself over the next 30 years as its electrical rates go up and as it has to pay securitization charges. Mayor, thank you for the chance to be heard. I'd like to introduce my colleague at Circles X, Paul Moore, who has for the last 2 years plus been going around the state and spreading the gospel of this claim process. Paul.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council. As Joe touched on, let me just go over the basics of Circles X. It's a privately held data company that has over 180 patents. We're over 20 years in existence. We're a team of energy executives. Our CEO is a former Enron executive who watched the mayhem happen in California and was absolutely appalled by it and decided that he was going to do something about that. What he went about doing is identifying the grid across the country, which was not previously identified and labeled. He created this database, he sold it commercially until December 2018 when he moved into Medicare fraud. Thank God for all of us, he kept the servers on. When Winter Storm Uri happened, he looked at the data and said, wow, we got Enron again. So we produce 9.5 BCF of natural gas a day. We only use 4.5 BCF in Texas. We have 44 energy companies that constitute 92 energy companies total of the 4,100 energy companies in the state of Texas that acted as bad actors. They moved the natural gas into storage facilities on the 4 coldest days in state history, and they also moved it from the intra to the interstate. They violated 2 executive orders from Greg Abbott on February 12th and February 18th, stating that all gas was to stay in-state and to be used to feed the market. We have over 10,000 instances of wellhead data that shows these bad actions.
What exactly are you asking the city to take part in?
Well, what I would do is, and I've done this across the state in hundreds of municipalities of varying sizes, is you give us an assignment, you license our data, we work with you to help you identify the losses that were uninsured, and then we calculate your securitization losses. As Joe said, these 9 retail electricity providers, who by no fault of their own were bank robbed by these natural gas suppliers, and they paid out billions of dollars. So the PUCT allowed them to securitize that debt. What they didn't realize is they were saying, okay, all 254 counties can securitize. So while you may have dodged the bullet individually or a municipality across the state during Winter Storm Uri, now you're all going to pay for the next 30 years these losses.
And Mr. Paul, where do you all come in here? I just want to understand who would represent, hypothetically speaking, who would represent the city in this litigation? I just have so many questions, I'll be honest.
Okay, so we are one plaintiff. We have hundreds of thousands of assignments given to us. We are the plaintiff. We have attorneys in-house. We would work with your city manager and your city attorney to work to get them up to speed and understand what's involved. There's no financial commitment. This has been very successful across the state.
Okay.
And I'm available for the questions, please. Joe, I'm sorry, you want to say something?
Well, Mayor Salinas' question, I think Paul touched on the action item that we asked council today is to direct the city manager or his designee to receive the license agreement that we have prepared, and it's the same for every municipality, and give your blessing to the concept of taking no economic risk whatsoever, letting the city manager sign the license agreement with your blessing to receive the benefit for Eagle Pass when the claim is finally funded via the litigation that is taking place in Harris County.
I do have some legal questions on this. So
I'll make a motion to take it to executive
Okay.
session.
We have a motion to discuss this further in executive session by Councilman Diaz and a second by Councilwoman Cruz. Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? Thank you, gentlemen. That was very informative. It was a lot of information, so we will discuss in executive session and we'll come back. Thank you.
Thank you, and I will provide you with further information. So thank you so much for your time.
Please.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, and for the record, that's going into executive session pursuant to Chapter 551071 of Chapter 55, Texas Government Consultation with Attorney.
That's correct.
Yeah. Executive session, item 21, executive session pursuant to sections 551.071 and 551.074 of Chapter 551 Texas Government Code, consultation with attorney and personnel matters regarding work week schedule, possible action and open session regarding same. 22, executive session pursuant to section 551.071 of Chapter 551 Texas Government Code, consultation with attorney regarding real property matters and possible action in open session regarding same. 23, executive session pursuant to sections 551.074 and 551 551.071 of Chapter 551, Texas Government Code, discussion of personnel and consultation with attorney, hiring/selection process for city manager position, and possible action in open session regarding same. 24, executive session pursuant to Section 551.074, Chapter 551, Texas Government Code, discussion of personnel matters to review requests for qualifications, RFQ, for legal services, and possible action in open session regarding same. 25, executive session pursuant to Section 551.071, Chapter 551, Texas Government Code, consultation with attorney regarding traffic control devices and possible action in open session regarding same. We are also taking into executive session item number 2, and as we discussed, item 20. So we will go into executive session at 7:13 PM. Okay, that was a long executive session, but we are back at 11:17 PM. The first item discussed in executive session was item 2, public hearing on the proposed final replat of Lot 21 in Block 2 of Loma Bonita Heights Subdivision Unit 1, including 1, a subdivision variance from the preliminary plat requirement of City of Eagle Pass Code of Ordinances, Chapter 23, Section 23-36A, and 2, a sidewalk waiver including curb and gutter from Section 23-64 governing sidewalks, closing of public hearing, and possible action. So we did discuss this. At this time, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I would like to make a motion to approve as recommended.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Cruz,
I'll second.
second by Councilman Diaz. Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. So the next item, correct me if I'm wrong.
Number 20?
20. Item number 20, discussion and possible action regarding information involving certain producers and midstream providers of natural gas resulting in economic harm to end users, including governmental entities, and proposed litigation therefore, and consider for approval instructions to city manager to accept license to share data on City of Eagle Pass, Texas behalf from Circles X LLC.
I would like to make a motion, Mayor, to direct the city manager to negotiate and enter into a license agreement with Circles X LLC as licensor and City of Eagle Pass, Texas as licensee, and to gather necessary information to document the city's uncompensated property damages, electrical rate upcharges, and securitization damages arising from Winter Storm Uri and its after effects.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Cruz on the floor,
Second.
second by Councilman Diaz. Discussion, all in favor of that motion? Unanimous. Executive session item 21, executive session pursuant to sections 551.071 and 551.074 of Chapter 551 Texas Government Code, consultation with attorney and personnel matters regarding work week schedule, possible action in open session regarding same. Anyone want to make a motion regarding item 21?
I would like to make a motion to table this item.
Okay, we have a motion to table by Councilwoman Cruz. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Diaz. Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Item 21 is tabled. Item 22.
Oh, you don't have an agenda?
No.
Oh, I just keep track, sorry.
Item 22 is executive session pursuant to Section 551.071 and Chapter 551 Texas Government Code, consultation with attorney regarding real property matters and possible action in open session regarding same. I believe this was just informational, correct? No motion needed?
No action.
No action. Item 23, executive session pursuant to Sections 551.074 and 551.071 of Chapter 551 Texas Government Code, discussion of personnel and consultation with attorney, hiring/selection process for city manager position, and possible action in open session regarding same.
I would like to make a motion for city manager to proceed as director in executive session.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilwoman Cruz,
I'll second.
second by Mayor Pro Tem Davis. Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Item number 24, executive session pursuant to Section 551.074, Chapter 551 Texas Government Code, discussion of personnel matters to review requests for qualifications, RFQ for legal services, and possible action in open session regarding same. I'll entertain a motion on item number 24.
I would like to make a motion for city manager to begin negotiations with Berain Garcia Law Firm.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? I'll go ahead and relinquish.
I'll go ahead and second it.
Okay, we have a second by Mayor Pro Tem Davis. Discussion? All in favor? We have 4 in favor. Councilwoman Cruz, Mayor Pro Tem Davis, Councilman Garcia, myself, Mayor Salinas. Against? You abstain?
Wait, what was it, count?
We have 4 in favor and 1 abstention. Councilman Diaz.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Item number 25, executive session pursuant to Section 551.071 of Chapter 551 Texas Government Code, consultation with attorney regarding traffic control devices and possible action in open session regarding same.
I would like to make a motion, again, for city manager to proceed as director in executive session.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Cruz, a second by Councilman Garcia. Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. This time I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So,
We have a motion to adjourn by Mayor Pro Tem Davis, a second by
Garcia.
Councilman Garcia. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you.
Mayor, you didn't have an item 2?
Yes, we discussed.
We don't have to take action?
We did.
we approved it. We approved it.
I mean,
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.